All right, guys, welcome back to Athletics Free Ballet Evolution. My name is Shane Werthner. I am your host, and today we are going to be doing something a little bit different. So this is an episode that I'm going to be titling Plié Perspectives. We're going to be doing a lot of these Plié Perspectives over the coming months. It's going to be something that we just jump into at random, but it's a little bit more of a hard-hitting podcast in the sense that I'm going to talk about things that are more direct from my experiences, and really just jump into how that can impact your life without it just being like a gentle message. You know, there's going to be a little bit more of that. This is what needs to happen in order to see success, right? Like these are the things that I've realized in my life and the experiences that I've had that have led me to where I am, but also some of the things that I've witnessed within the coaching and dance training space, and even experiences that I have had in my own life, which we do anyway in the podcast, but this is the Plié Perspectives version, so it's going to be a little bit more intense. So here we go. I want to talk about some stuff that I recognized in my career, patterns, if you will, that have led me now to where I am as a coach, and things that I take on in my own life. And again, guys, as you go through and you're listening to this, if it doesn't resonate with you, that's perfectly fine. You know, we all have different approaches. We all have different lives that we live. I don't expect you to always resonate with everything I say, but let me just talk about a few things. So when I first started out in my dance career, it was very interesting. So my first job really in Vienna, like I got into the company, and the very first thing we were doing was a production they'd done the year before. It was Petrushka and a few other different ballets. And they didn't have enough guys because realistically they had fired 38 dancers the year before and brought in a whole bunch of new dancers. So it was basically like a brand new company. And they needed all of us to jump into it pretty quickly. And so we all learned it and we were on stage. And it was the first performance that I did with the company was in Petrushka. And then I was also in Der Dreispitz, or the three-pointed hat. Okay, so those were the two main things. The next ballet that we did was Giselle. Now, when Giselle casting came out, I had expected, okay, I was kind of corps de ballet already in Petrushka. I guess I'll continue to be corps de ballet in the next thing. And basically what happened was it was like I was gone back to being almost like a statistin, right? So instead of going forward and continuing on with maybe the group peasant dance or something like that, now I was covering the lead, well, not the lead. I was covering the hunting party. Okay, so the first guy to walk onto the stage, that's why I say lead, was I guess he was a little bit older, but they had me covering him. Okay, so it wasn't like I was actually going to go on stage. I was just going to watch him in rehearsals, and then if he got injured, then potentially I would end up walking on stage. So that was the start to my company career, and I realized pretty quickly, because I saw the other boy that I was there with, he was actually put very quickly into cover the peasant pas de deux. And I thought to myself, well, why is he doing it, not me? Why am I not getting this opportunity? And so I thought to myself, okay, well, obviously they don't see me necessarily as strong enough or good enough at this point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to every rehearsal that I possibly can that is a corps de ballet rehearsal. So I did the extra work. I put in work that was not required of me. Now, this is what I want to talk about. This is the if you will, the hard-hitting point that I think gets lost a lot when we talk about even dance training. The basic amount of work that you are expected to do, the standard, is not enough to get you to a professional career. And then once you are in a professional career, the standard of what they expect from you, like what your basic guidelines for your work are, it's not enough to make you stand out or to become excellent in what you do. In order to achieve that excellence, you actually have to put in above and beyond what is required of you. And so going back to my story, what I did was I went to these rehearsals, and there was a guy in the rehearsals who was a demi-soloist who didn't want to be doing the corps de ballet anymore. So essentially he was kind of in the same position I was, but at a higher rank. He wanted to move forward. He wanted to do things that were more challenging, and he didn't see the point of him going through and doing this piece that he had probably done 100 times before. So, you look at that and you say, okay, well, what did he do? He came to me and he basically said, oh, Shane, you're here. Why don't you jump in for me today? And I'd say, okay. And I'd do the piece. And even if I didn't really know it very well, I made sure I was in line. I made sure I did, made it look all right. And step by step, little by little, with every rehearsal, the ballet master at the front of the room started to realize that I wasn't just there to mess around, that I was actually wanting to work and put my best foot forward. So step by step over the course of that year, I went from basically my first casting being a cover for a walk-on role to, by the end of the year, right before I broke my foot, I was doing the Friends of the Prince in Swan Lake, which is a very difficult role in Rudolf Nurev's Swan Lake. So, I went from really like this starting position to a very quick high level within like the first 10 months of my time there. And there's a caveat to this, okay? Because with every level, there comes a new challenge. With every new thing that you attain, with every new outlook that you have, there comes a challenge. And I started to think that by doing more and more and more and more and more, that I was just going to continue to go in an upward direction. And so what ended up happening was there was a choreo lab that we were working on, which was an unpaid job. It was something that we were doing outside of normal rehearsal hours. It was extra work, basically. And I was in the rehearsal for that, the stage rehearsal for that before the performance. And I did a pirouette and I landed badly and I broke my navicular bone in my right foot. Now, here I was, okay? I was on this upward trajectory. Everything was going well. And suddenly, you look at what was happening, and I had put out too much effort. I had done too many things. Okay, so we do have to go above and beyond. This is the point here, guys. This is the Plié perspective, if you will. I say Plié perspective because I think pliés are the foundation, and we need to have this foundational information in order to move forward in our lives. And so I realized that I actually had done too much, and this was a recurring theme in my life. I would push and I would push, and I would push, and I would push, and I would push, and then people would ask me, "Are you sure? Is it too much? Are you going to make it through?" And I'd say, "Yeah, no problem, not an issue." And then it would get to the point where my body was like, "No, that's it. You're done. You need to rest." So, what is the perspective here that we can take out of this? The main thing that I would like you to focus on from this point, if you will, from this Plié perspective, is that we have to go above and beyond what's expected of us. We have to challenge ourselves to become better, and we have to do this on a daily basis. But we also have to know when to pull back. We have to know when to hold back. We have to know when to say, you know what, right now I need to focus on what I'm doing and not give my focus to 300 different things, okay? Because what will happen is there will start to become more and more opportunities for you. So when you become better at what you're doing, people will say, "Oh, I see that you're improving. I see that you're getting better. I see that you're moving forward." And what they're going to do is they're going to take that and say, "Oh, here's more for you. Here's more for you. Here's more for you." And sometimes you have to be able to say, "Okay, right now I'm doing enough." Now, that's a very scary thing to say as a young dancer, because if you say that and there's always the potential to say, "Oh, maybe they can't handle it." But I think you have to have that honest discussion, especially with your ballet masters and your directors. Like I've said before, be open with the people around you. If you are doing too much, if you feel like you have too much coming at you, you need to pull back and you need to do less. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that you just stop completely. It doesn't mean you say, "Oh, I'm doing too much. I'm just going to have a day off, or I'm just going to do whatever for a month. I'm not going to do my work and push myself anymore." What it means is you are going to look at the work that you're doing and you're going to analyze where your focus needs to be put for the best result to move you forward. Okay. Now, however you want to do this, it's up to you. You got to find what the most successful pathway is for you from a critical perspective of learning how to assess what effort needs to be put where, how to consistently put that effort in, and then how to be a little bit better every day. Now, if there's something else that I can bring into this, it's that you do not have to be 100% better with every time you do something. What you have to do is find an intention, whether it be in your classwork and you say, "Okay, today's intention is to improve my turnout." And then you take that intention through the entire class and you continue that intention for the entire week. If you are really focused on improving your turnout for that entire week, odds are your turnout will continue to improve consistently beyond that, because the next week you can add something on, you can layer on top of that. If you go into class and you say, "I'm going to work on my turnout and my arms and my head, and I'm going to get my legs higher and I'm going to point my feet more and I'm going to do the best pirouettes ever," odds are none of it's going to happen because you have too many points of focus. So you have to have an intention, but then you have to take that intention, you have to apply it to everything. You have to push yourself in each thing that you're doing. So if you're going to be doing pirouettes in the center, you need to be focusing on how much you're turning out. If you're going to be doing a développé, you need to be focusing on how much you're turning out. Other examples, for example, if you're rehearsing and you're finding that you're getting into the rehearsals and you're not knowing the choreography, take that little extra bit of focus and intention every night to go home and watch a video, or to stay after the rehearsal for 5 minutes and talk to one of the more senior dancers who know the work, who can maybe take you through it. Because at the end of the day, in a company, you are a part of a team. You are working together to put on the best performance. And if you show that initiative to show that you want to help the performance to be the best because you are part of that team, other people are going to respond to that well. So, back to life stories. This continued to happen with me. Basically, I got into my 5th year in the company. I had been promoted to demi soloist, and I think I've told this story before, but I was slated to dance like 4 different leads in different productions at the end of the season, and I ended up breaking my foot on stage, which was quite detrimental because the next year we had a new director coming in. And so again, the question came up, do you feel like you have the ability to get through it? Because we want to make sure that, the most important performances are what you put on stage, and not the lesser ones, and just make sure that you're okay and everything's, you're not doing too much. At the same time, I had this, this ambition, this desire to continue to demonstrate that I could do whatever it was asked of me. Now, again, my body said, no, you're doing too much and you need to rest. Okay. So there's this back and forth, guys. And it's a really hard lesson to learn, because we have to go through it a few times. We have to go through that process of learning just how much to put in to not overwork yourself, but also how to put in the right effort at the right time to get the result that you desire in your life, right? To help other people also who are looking at you and watching your work and watching the way that you're approaching what you're doing, and making sure that when they see you, they realize that you are putting in the effort a little bit above and beyond, at the very least, from that kind of basic standard of what is expected of the role that you're in. All right. So, this could be even as something as simple as when you're in class, always holding your leg for a little bit longer, or challenging yourself to do more pirouettes in a cleaner finish, making a little bit of extra presentation in your work, making sure that the way that you present yourself in class, not just from a dancing perspective, but from a physical dress perspective, the way you interact with people, the way that you go to donor events, and the way that you speak to the people who are funding the company, right? Like all of this stuff, guys, it's all part of the process of your job. And eventually, if you're a student, it will eventually be the part of your job to become the best that you possibly can be. And it does take a lot of work. I think there's this misconception these days, especially because social media has set it up this way, that we think that it's once you're a professional dancer, that life is easy. You've gotten through your training, you've entered into your job, everything is great, you're getting paid, and now you can just kind of sail by and you'll just naturally progress through the ranks and everything will be great. It doesn't work that way. There's politics, and there's people who have certain ideas about who should be dancing what. And even if the director or the ballet masters like you, perhaps the person setting the ballet decides they don't like you, and they decide to chew you out in front of in film crews, which happened to me. Like stuff like this will happen, where despite your best effort, maybe you just aren't liked. Okay. And the best way to understand this, and the best way to deal with this, is to just look at it and be like, okay, their issue is not necessarily with me. Their issue is their issue. Like, this person obviously is just not a nice guy. Basically, every time that I have ever been put down in my dance career, it's usually been specifically about something that the other person had a problem with. So I remember there was one time this guy came back to me after a rehearsal and said, you're too tall, your skin is too white, you look boring and all this stuff. And he was this, short Italian, very tan man who was fiery and bubbly personality. So a little bit different very different to me. And I think, he preferred to see a mirror of himself in his performances than to see someone who was very different to him. And so I was just not what he was interested in, and he didn't like the way that I presented myself, and that ended up affecting the way that I was presented in that ballet. But then the next person came along and they liked the way I performed, and there was no problem. Okay, so the other caveat to this statement of put in the work, go above and beyond your duties to get the recognition that you feel you deserve. And again, it takes time. Sometimes people are just not going to recognize you, or they're going to recognize everything that they don't like about you, and they're going to put that forward as the way that they think that you should be represented. So just understand, it's not always simple. The challenges that come at us will often be exactly that. They're challenges. They're there to help us develop the humility and the basic understanding of who we are in order to help us to get to the next level. Because, you have to have a certain understanding of the challenges and the suffering and the struggle that go into a dance career in order to get to the highest level. If you don't work your hardest to progress, if you don't understand the way that your body works, if you don't challenge your comfort zone to push yourself beyond what you think you can achieve, then you're never going to get to that point of next level. You're never going to go above and beyond. You're not ever going to get to the top of your field. It's the ones who push the boundaries and who push the envelope and who challenge that get to that point. And so I think if I can leave you guys with anything, because this is going to be the last podcast of 2023, what I would like you to do, and this is, whether you do it or not, it's up to you, but I want you to think for the next couple of days as we head into the end of 2023 and enter into 2024. What are the main places that you feel like you could put more effort in? And I don't necessarily mean like you have to work all the time, all day, every day, push yourself. Effort can be thought. Effort can be meditation. Effort can be visualization. It can be, non-active communication with people. It can be, reaching out to mentors. It can be connecting with directors. It can be reaching out to other dancers. Effort doesn't necessarily mean work in the studio. All right. It's something that is going to progress you. But what I want you to think about is, what are the main places in your life that you could be putting more effort in to help you get the best output from your work? How could you be more intelligent with your work? How can you be more diligent? How can you be more disciplined? Because discipline at the end of the day is the key to this, guys. If you have a teacher who is pushing you, who seems to be hard on you, who never seems to be fully satisfied with what you're doing, it's probably because they don't see the discipline and the consistency in your work. One day you may be doing an excellent job, and the next day everything has changed. And so what they're trying to do is they're trying to give you a taste of what it's going to be like in the professional sphere, because the reality of the situation is it is not easy, and it's generally not kind, the professional dance world. And whether we like that or not, it's the truth. It's the reality of the situation. We can work to change that, but it is what it is for now. And so what I would like you to do is figure out what those things are. Choose three things that you feel like you could put more effort in. And then I want you to figure out one critical thing that you could do every day for each of those three things. So you're going to do 3 different tasks, and you're going to work on that for the entire month of January. And I want you to come back at the end of January. We'll do another Plié perspective at the end of January, where you're going to come back in and you're going to be like, okay, how did I progress? What were the things that moved forward in my life as a result of doing one critical task towards each of those 3 things that helped me to move forward? That's it, guys. That's the key. Find the critical tasks, find the push to go above and beyond. And then from there, what you're going to do is you're going to figure out how that moved you forward. You're going to reassess, and you're going to do it again. You're going to do it with a disciplined process. You're going to do it consistently. And then that will eventually move you forward by helping you to become a little bit better every day. Hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening. If it has helped you, if you got something out of it, please share it, because that is the way that we are growing this show. I'm not running any advertisements. Please go on and subscribe on YouTube. Follow me on any of the platforms where this show is shared. And if you don't already follow me, go follow me on Instagram as well at Athletistry. This has been a Athletistry Ballet Evolution. I'll see you in the new year, guys.